With so many actors auditioning for drama school each and every year, you're probably asking yourself, what is it that I can do with my self-tape to make it stand out from the crowd? And if you're new here, I'm Louise. I am an acting and audition coach, and I've spent over a decade lecturing at drama schools all across the UK. And I've coached actors to get offers at some of the top drama schools in the UK, including these ones. And as I've been doing for years, I am sitting on audition panels this year. So everything that I'm about to say is all first-hand accounts of what I'm actually seeing in these self-tapes. So get a pen, get a notebook, and let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing to mention is that there is no such thing as the perfect self-tape. So please stop thinking that if you just shoot one more take and then another and another and another and another and another and waste your entire day doing it, eventually you will find that elusive perfect take. There is no such thing. It is a myth. But there are some positive things that I've been noticing from this year's self-tapes that I want you to focus on, because these are the things that really make your tape stand out for all the right reasons. And the first one is taking your time before you start. I want you to think about it from your panel's perspective. They press play on your tape, and then all of a sudden they are bombarded with you speaking, with your performance, with your energy, and they're like, whoa, we weren't ready. You need to give them a few moments to take you in, to take in your previous circumstance energy as you live as that character, to take in your physical form and the creative choices that you are about to make. And we're only talking like a couple of beats. Then the panel is going to be fully ready to observe your performance. It is a really small thing, but it has a big impact. It also demonstrates that you are an actor that takes your time and that you will only begin when you're actually ready. This is someone who takes control and command of the situation and only begins when they are present with impulse and present with the text. And personally, as a panelist, it's always something that draws me in. Next up, give yourself space and use it wisely. By this, I mean your physical space. And yes, I totally get that you might not have tons of room when you're taping. And audition panels across the board completely understand that too. And it's not like you're going to be penalized for using a very small space to tape your self-tapes. But what I am seeing is a lot of actors with the camera way too close to them and then being pressed up against a wall. It's kind of giving firing squad. It's giving police lineup. It's giving all of the things that it really shouldn't be given. So by bringing yourself a step or two away from the wall and making sure that your camera is at least a stretched arm's length away, it frees you up, it gives you a little bit of space, and it does you wonders. And ideally for drama school auditions, you want to be framing your tapes from about the waist up, because then we get to see how you are using your body, how you are gesturing. It's a really good indication of what you're capable of doing with your body through your acting. And I also said using the space wisely, which basically means moving with intention, because sadly I'm seeing a fair few people either totally stock still and refusing to move lest they fall out of the frame altogether, or just kind of absent-mindedly pacing and padding around their space without that being linked to what they're doing creatively. Doing that kind of stuff is basically saying that what's happening up here and what's happening down here are not aligned. It reads as absent-minded, it reads as nervous, and it really muddies the water with what you're attempting to do creatively. The best rule of thumb is to move when you actually feel an impulse coming up, and to settle into stillness when there isn't an impulse, because you've got to move with purpose and with fuel and with reason, and if you don't have those things, then it will just come across as forced. So you've got to get in touch with what is actually an impulsive want. And also, the stuff that I talk about in these videos is more expanded and elaborated on my online platform, Act.Cool. So if you want some more in-depth guidance, some more advice on how to tackle your auditions, then check out all of the details below. Next up is lighting and sound. Hello, hi, how you doing? Please pay attention. This is not the point in the video where I tell you to go and spend a ton of money on a ton of equipment and lights and sound and this, that, and the next thing to make your self-tapes appear better. We don't do that here. We are actors. We are not here to make a masterpiece of cinematography. So put your wallet away and listen up. The basic rule for your self-tapes is that the panel want to see you, they want to hear you, and they want to understand you. That's it. So in terms of seeing you, we basically just want you to use some natural sunlight through a window. It is the most flattering source of light, it gives even coverage, it lasts for quite a long time, and it's free, so no need for a fancy lighting setup. Also, for sound, you want to make sure that you are not shooting your tapes next to an open window that leads onto a main road, because then all we'll be hearing is the traffic outside. And make sure that you are not shooting in echoey rooms like kitchens or bathrooms or large studio rehearsal spaces, because the sound bounces around the room and it's going to interfere with what the panel are able to hear of you. So what I want you to do when you finish doing your self-tapes is to check the footage back. Check it back to make sure that the sound is clean and that you are easily seen. I want you to do this before you decide to put your camera away and stop for the day, because if you leave it for a day or 2 days and then look at the footage and you realize I can't use this, you're running up against your self-tape deadline, and that is stressful. Please bear in mind that in order for your audition panel to make an accurate judgment of your capability and your suitability for training, they need to be able to see you, hear you, and understand you in your tape. So please don't overlook that part. A warm intro. The tricky thing with self-tapes is, as panelists, we can't get a real sense of who you are, what your personality is, because you're not there in the room with us. That comes later at recall stages. So the best thing that you can do as the self-taping actor is to give a nod to yourself in your intro. Now please take note that I don't mean that I want you to crack jokes and be overly personal and really kind of open and vulnerable and exposed in your intro. That's not what we're doing here at all. What I want you to focus on is appearing warm and friendly, along with professional. Because sadly, I've witnessed a lot of actors in this particular season doing their intros where they look disinterested and bored and pretty miserable, or totally petrified and a little bit confused about what they're doing. And that doesn't exactly inspire confidence. Also, a little side note on your intros, please make sure that you actually introduce your speeches. And by that I mean what the character is, what play, and what playwright. The audition panelists are not mind readers. Yes, we know a fair few speeches and we could probably note down a few and recognize them, but not across the board. And that's key information that we want to write down in our notes to refer to later on. Also, please get the character names right. I've had a fair few Emilys from Othello instead of Amelia, Rosamunds instead of Rosalinds from As You Like It, and the odd measure by measure instead of measure for measure. It may seem really, really small, but again, this is your first impression to the audition panel about, I want to be an actor, I love acting, I love plays. And if you can't even get the names right, it doesn't inspire confidence. You want to take away any friction in the panel's decision making that you have control over. And then knowing the names of your characters and knowing the names of your plays, that is within your control. Having an appropriate eyeline. Your eyeline is basically just where you were going to be looking in your self-tape to create the idea that you were speaking to a person. And the 3 bad eyelines that I've been seeing that I want you to avoid are these. Barreling the lens. Now, this is more of a personal thing, I grant you, and there are some rare schools that do actually request that you barrel the lens when you do your speeches. And admittedly, I'm barreling the lens right now, but when you're doing a monologue, especially if it's an intense level monologue, like, why did you leave me, you prick? When you're doing those kinds of speeches down the barrel of the lens and a panel are on the receiving end of that, because they're not just watching your tape, they're going to be watching about 30 or 40 others in that one day. That gets a bit much. That gets a bit exhausting. So you don't want to be barreling the lens when you're doing your speeches. A profile eyeline. If your eyeline starts to get so far away from the lens that you start to go into profile, this isn't a very good thing, because we only see half of your face and we want to see your full face. We want to see both halves of your face. We want to see all of your face. Remember what I said about seeing you, hearing you, and understanding you? Yep. That's part of it. The wandering eyeline. There are some very unfortunate souls that have just not nailed down their eyeline or have failed to even think about an eyeline. So when they start their speech, they've just got this kind of wandering, unsure where I'm supposed to be looking thing going on. And I don't know about you, but this kind of starts to make it seem like I'm either blind or totally disinterested in what you're saying, or that I'm so nervous that I can't form any kind of eye contact. So basically, it's just telling a story that it shouldn't be telling. Basic eyeline rule. If you were speaking to one person, then just choose one space just off of your camera. If you were speaking to more than one person, place them either side and alternate between them. We can still see your full face, and you are painting the picture that you are speaking to particular people. And it's really crucial that you stay consistent with with your outline because it creates the scene and it puts the other characters within it. It also gives you something precise to focus on when you're performing. There you go, that's some insider information about what I am currently seeing in these self-tape rounds for drama schools. So it's a really good indicator of what you can do personally to level up to make sure that your self-tapes stand out for all of the right reasons. Now, if it is your first time or even your fourth or fifth time applying and auditioning for drama school and you feel a bit lost and a little bit confused about how you're supposed to navigate this, then I highly recommend signing up to my online platform, act.cool. We've got so many tools and resources. We've got training videos and speech lists and a community chat feature where you can speak to like-minded actors who are going through the exact same process as you. So if this is something that you're interested in, then I highly recommend checking out the details below and signing up and getting yourself an account. Also, get in touch with me personally if you're interested in doing one-to-one coaching to really level up in particular areas of your practice to gear yourself up ready for either in-person first rounds, self-tapes, or recall auditions. I really hope that you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next video.